line. We have like about 30 minutes or maybe 25 to 30 minutes before they let us inside. So I just want to do a quick live and let you guys know that today is going to be a real busy day. It should get real juicy because they're continuing with the cross-examination of Jane Doe. This is going to be the last of her testimony, and then they're going to have the redirect. Now, all of this should be wrapped up by the end of the morning, I'm assuming. And there's going to be some more people coming in. There's like 2 more witnesses. I'm anxious to see who these witnesses are and what they exactly have to say. What do they have to do with this case against Sean Diddy Combs? Okay, now yesterday, Quincy was in court. Justin and Christian, I didn't see them, but Quincy did show up. So did Diddy's sister and his mother and a few other family members. So we'll see how it all goes. You know, it's not looking really good for Diddy. Now, mind you, I did say, it may seem like I'm, switching up, because I did say that the prosecution seems to be fumbling the case. Now, when I say that, I don't mean that they're losing the case. What I'm saying is there are some things that they're doing that I think will be problematic when the appeals process begins. Yes. Okay, that could likely get Diddy's case possibly overturned if he's convicted, which I think he will be convicted. But let's not forget, I told you about the prior bad acts and all of that stuff. So we'll just see how it all plays out. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what I think or what any of us think. The bottom line is this is all going to be up to the jury, what they say about it, how they receive the information and the evidence, and how they in fact interpret the law. Now, of course, everything's going to be explained to them thoroughly so that they get a good understanding of exactly what it takes to convict someone of a RICO. Okay, and so don't forget that I told you on yesterday that the prosecution has said that they should rest their case by a week from Friday, possibly as early as next Wednesday. Okay, and then we'll have the defense coming in with their witnesses, and that's when it's really going to be juicy. That's when we're really going to get to the nitty-gritty, and we'll be better to able to assess whether or not the state has possibly proven their case. Okay, right now a lot of people are conflicted. A lot of people are not feeling like they're proving the RICO. Some people think it's all about SEX and the rugs and the DV. Everybody has their own spin on it. And a lot of people also are in their feelings. Some people are upset about other people's opinions. But like I always say, don't be mad at someone else's opinion. If you're entitled to yours, then why shouldn't someone else be entitled to theirs? But a lot of people are thinking of this from an emotional aspect. A lot of people are basically, not using logic and critical thinking skills, in my opinion. Okay, because that's what you need in a case like this. You need to go by the evidence. You need to see what is proven and what hasn't been proven. And at the end of the day, let's not get feelings involved, okay? Because when you start thinking with your emotions, that's a quick way, to make a bad choice and a bad decision. All right? Powell says they got rid of the black juror number 6. Well, I'm not sure about that, so I don't really want to speak on it. I did hear that there was an issue with one of the jurors. Not sure what exactly the issue was, okay? So I don't want to misspeak. I'll try to find out when I get inside, and then I'll let you know later, okay? When is Jane Doe's last day? Today is her last day. They're going to wrap up her cross-examination this morning, hopefully. And then, like I said, the prosecution is going to have redirect on her. But remember, I told you guys that during the redirect, they want to address the issue of Teeny asking her on the stand, basically, who determines the truth. And she said the prosecution. Now, remember, I told you that they were upset about Teeny. They had a whole conversation with the judge yesterday because they basically were saying that by Teeny opening up that door and asking her that, she's trying to imply to the jurors that possibly Jane Doe is tailoring her testimony to appease the prosecution, or basically saying what the prosecution wants her to say. Now, I don't agree with that, and Mark Agnifilo stood up and talked about it as well, and he said that wasn't the case. I didn't see anything wrong with her asking the question, okay? I really think that the prosecution, with that, I think it was kind of a reach, because as Mark Agnifilo said, Jane Doe is not facing prosecution, okay? She's been granted immunity, and as long as she tells the truth, as far as they're concerned, her immunity is going to stand. So, and I think that she is telling the truth, okay? I think that she's absolutely telling the truth. I don't think that she's making up things. I don't think she's lied about anything. But the bottom line is, like I keep telling you, some of the things that she has spoken about, that was her own decisions. Okay, whether Diddy influenced her, whether she did it out of love, and because she was so into him, at the end of the day, she made conscious decisions to do some of the things that she engaged in. And that's just my opinion. But what I do want to know, I'm still curious as to why Diddy, is still paying her rent. He's still paying for her house. Why is he still paying for her attorney's fees? I have several questions about that. I'm wondering, does she know something about the diddler that we don't know and that maybe she's not going to say because bills are being paid? I don't know, but I just find that all very interesting. Okay? Earthling said, I love the leopard print. Thank you. I love animal print, beloved. Thank you. So, you know, like I said, it's getting really interesting. I want to see how Teeny finishes up the cross. I think she needs to come in hard. I think she needs to hit with the tough questions. And I'm hoping that just maybe, you know, when the next witnesses come in, that they will have some juicy information on the diddler, something that's going to stick. And I hope they're not up there telling stories that are inconsistent. Okay, and like I said, these people that are going to testify next, I don't know what their relationship is with Diddy, whether they're former employees or whatever. But I'm anxious to hear what they have to say. And, you know, they've had a lot of witnesses that are supposed to be cut. So that's what the prosecution brought up yesterday. They're going to be cutting some witnesses, and based on the people that are cut, then the defense will have to, they may possibly have to, you know, modify their strategy, okay? Because Mark Agnifilo said that they're going to have to basically wait and see who's cut because that may affect them, okay? And so I'm just ready to see what's going to happen. And where the hell is KK? Where is D-Rock? Okay, where is C Gutter? Where is Neil Dominique? I have several questions because I really thought that we would have heard from KK by now. I mean, KK, was she given immunity? Where's Brendan Paul? Is anybody forgetting about Brendan Paul, the alleged rug mule? Okay, I have questions because I really would have guessed that he took a deal, you know, because remember when he got caught with those rugs with a D, when he was at the Opelika airport with Diddy on the day of the raids, you know, he got like a plea deal or whatever. So I'm just wondering, where is he? Is he going to testify? Is KK going to testify? Where are these people? Okay. How are you doing today? I'm doing fine today, beloved. I'm feeling great. I'm not sick anymore. You guys remember I was sick for the first week I was here. Okay, so I'm feeling a whole lot better. Thank you for asking. Somebody asked, where is Allie Carter? I have no idea. Allie Carter has nothing to do with this trial. She's not testifying. She's not a witness or any of that, so I don't keep up with her. I don't even really follow her. Okay. Dewdrop says free Diddy. Okay. Speaking of that, while we were standing in line today, somebody drove by yelling that out the car window, free Diddy. And let me say this. Listen, you guys, as it pertains, Nicole said, be safe out there. Thank you, beloved. I will. Listen, speaking of being safe, the guy that assaulted me and Secret Service Sam yesterday, he basically was here today, starting more mess, following Secret Service Sam around. Okay, we called the police station and spoke to the police on the phone, got our number, our case number for the report that we filed against him on yesterday. Now, some kind of way, he's gone around and changed the story and had it look like me and Secret Service Sam were attacking him, which I find very interesting. Someone asked us, well, what did you guys do to his phone? Didn't y'all smash his phone? No, we didn't do anything to his phone. That was between him and some guy named Jimmy. Okay, he brought us into it. But I'm gonna tell you like this, he better not say anything else to me. He doesn't need to be anywhere around me. He was close to me this morning. I told him, get the hell away from me. Don't even come nowhere within 100 feet of me, period. Okay? Why should Diddy be released? Why should he be released? He shouldn't be released. Absolutely not. Diddy should not be released. Okay, she said, Queen, I sent you an email yesterday. New York is off the hook. It is off the hook, beloved. I'll check my emails when I get home. And listen, speaking of that, there's a lot going on because you know they have the protest. Okay, I actually posted a small clip of it in my shorts. Okay? And listen, you guys, you must be talking about Donat. No, I'm not talking about Donat. This is a guy that line sits for people. His name is John. No, I don't have a problem with Donat. Me and Donat get along good. Okay, this is very has to be very. I can't read that. Okay, who did that to Sam? Oh, this guy named John. Listen, if you go to my YouTube shorts, there's a video in there. And I need all you guys to follow me on TikTok. I just made a new TikTok. Because remember, my TikTok got banned because I was going in on Trump. Okay, so I started a new TikTok. It's Queen Ahmadiyya Shakur, okay? At Queen Ahmadiyya Shakur. I think that's what I called it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what I called it. But anyway, it's on TikTok, right? But so I'm gonna run. If you get locked up, you would want a fair trial. Well, of course, I would want a fair trial. Everybody would want a fair trial, beloved. Okay, what's that got to do with Diddy? Are you saying that Diddy isn't getting a fair trial? Is that what you think? Listen, the bottom line is I don't do things to get locked up. Okay, you said if I get locked up, I want a fair trial. Yes, of course I would. We all would. But the thing is, you should not do things that allow you to get locked up. Or you should not engage in acts and behavior that allow them to lock you up and then create this whole scenario, okay? Because you've given them ammunition. Diddy has done violent things throughout the years. We all know it, okay? He's had a myriad of run-ins with different people. And so these things are now being used against him. Now, so is that my fault? Listen, don't get mad at me, okay? You have your opinion and I have mine. I'm not here to plead Diddy's case or to go in on Diddy. I'm here to report the news. All right? That's how that goes. It hasn't been proven. Well, of course it hasn't been proven. If it hasn't been proven beyond a reasonable doubt. Right. I will say that. Okay, but they have proven some things. In my opinion, some things have been proven. The entirety of the case has not been proven. That's why we're still in trial. Okay, the case won't be proven until the jury comes back after deliberation, when they say guilty or innocent. And that's when the case will have been proven to them. Because really, whatever you think, Dewey, whatever your name is, I think it says Dew, whatever you think and whatever I think is not important, it's irrelevant in fact, because the jurors are going to make the decision. That's how that goes. Okay? Payo Bunyan said, I would let Diddy go home. Well, you know, if you let him go home, that would be good. But too bad for Diddy, you're not the judge or the jurors. Okay? Diddy's been in jail long enough. I mean, hey, if you think so. So with that all been said, where are my moderators? And then Sea Monster says Trump will pardon him. You never know at the end of the day. You never know. I mean, he just might. The bottom line is, I think that he's pretty much going to be convicted. Now, he may end up getting pardoned, which I doubt. But again, he may also get his conviction overturned during the appeals process, just like Harvey Weinstein. The bottom line is, all of these things, you know, that have been alleged, all of these things that have been testified to, don't look good for him. And the question is, do the jury, or does the jury believe the witnesses that have taken the stand already? Okay, do the jurors believe them or not? That's what it's all gonna factor down to. A lot of these people seem to absolutely be credible witnesses. They made a lot of sense. And the bottom line is, you know, we can all guess or we can all say what we think, but it's gonna be up to the jurors. It's in their hands, okay? I'm reporting them as they come. Okay, beloved. Even if he signs, gets a mistrial, he still has to sit in jail. Yeah, and he needs to sit in jail. Okay, in my opinion, he needs to sit in jail. I mean, to think that he hasn't done anything is crazy to me. Maybe he hasn't done everything. Now, this is what I will say. I do think that he has been overcharged. I think they have grossly overcharged him, and that's a part of the problem. That's why some people are saying they don't see how they've proven the RICO, because some people feel like all of the elements haven't been met, all of the crimes that are being alleged haven't been committed, and that's likely true, because I do agree that he has been overcharged. Now, is he guilty of some of the charges? I would have to say yes, in my opinion. Okay, but we'll see how that all turns out. Okay. Mike says, intelligent black woman speaking in the completely, blatantly obvious, who are you talking to, second graders? Okay? I mean, some people act like second graders, beloved, quite frankly. They literally do. All the people Diddy hurt sought justice when the incidents happened. These new people are lying. Well, here's the thing. I will say that some of the people absolutely are lying, because I actually interviewed some people who were full of crap. They were absolutely telling lies. But as I said, much of the testimony seems to have come from credible people. There were some people on the stand that had some inconsistencies in the things that they said, but for the most part, I believe that the witnesses that I've heard thus far, most of them absolutely were credible. Okay, but we weren't there. We don't know exactly what happened. We can just go by what is said. And, you know, when you go by the legal aspect of it all, if we want to talk about predicate crimes, a RICO conspiracy, if we want to talk about all of these things, well, we have to look at the fact that some of his own employees have admitted to doing criminal acts. They've admitted to committing crimes at the behest of Diddy. So that right there basically makes it a criminal enterprise as far as I'm concerned. And then you also have to factor in the point that some of these people, you know, what would they have to lose? Some of these people that have testified, they're not suing him in civil court. They're not risking going to jail. They've been granted immunity. So why would they have a reason to lie? Now, the people that have civil suits against him, now, in my opinion, those people are the ones that are most likely to be apt to make up something or to just lie or whatever, because they don't want to ruin their civil cases, I'm sure. And I feel like those people should not even have been entered in as witnesses. Okay, people like Dawn Richard, Brianna Bongalon. And Brianna Bongalon, her story fell apart. It didn't look good for the prosecution. That gave the defense the doorway, you know, to go in and offer a mistrial. Now, here's the thing. Like I told you guys, they know, or they knew, you know, pretty much that the judge was not going to grant that mistrial. But again, you do this to put it on the record so that basically when you start the appeals process, you have that to put on your case. You have that to show that there were some things that were going on that you thought were shady. There were some ethics violations possibly from the prosecution. The fact that they filed a mistrial under the guise of, or under the pretext of prosecutorial misconduct, that all plays well for the appeals process. And then let's not forget that you have attorney Brian Steele, who is probably the best appellate lawyer in this country, with 45 reversals and 310, I believe, to his credit. So this man knows what he's doing. He's very good at analyzing these cases and picking them apart. Okay, so this is why he's specifically on Diddy's team. They want to use him for the appeals process, no doubt. So with that all being said, this is going to be interesting. Even after this case is over, if Diddy's convicted, it is still going to be trending. It is still going to be very, you know, salacious, because now we're going to be following as they go into the appeals process. We're going to be seeing all of the things. For those of you who've been following from day one when I've been reporting on this, you're going to see that all of the things that I've been telling you that were problematic, that could be used against the prosecution during the appellate process, you're going to see that I was right about all those things. So just remember, you heard it here first. I already told you a list of things, okay? And at the end of the day, I told you that the defense was laying the groundwork to come back strong on appeal. And that's exactly what they're going to do. They're not playing games. They're coming in hard in the paint. Now, like I said, my question is, what is going to unfold today when Teeny finishes up this cross-examination? Okay, I'm really anxious to see how this is all going to close out, and when the prosecution comes back for the redirect, because they're going to try to, you know, basically walk back what Teeny said, what they claimed that she implied when she basically said that, when she asked her who's in charge or who determines the truth. Now, she said the prosecution, but as far as I'm concerned, the jurors are going to determine the truth, because they're the ones that have the final say-so. They're the ones that will determine the guilt or innocence. Okay, so as far as I'm concerned, the jury is more important, because they're going to come back and decide his fate. Okay, they're the ones that are going to determine, will there be justice for the victims and the accusers, or will he just walk away scot-free? Do they believe what the witnesses have said? Do they believe enough in the people that have testified to the point that they feel like Diddy needs to spend 15 years to life in prison? Or do they think that the prosecution fell short in proving their case? That's the question here. And I want you to pay attention too, because all of those motions in limine, the prior bad acts, all of the declarations and everything, those motions that Mark Agnifilo, Teeny Garagos, Alexandra Shapiro, and Xavier Jonelson, Brian Steele, Nicole Westmoreland, all of those things that they filed were to be put on the record. So that is all the basis and the groundwork, like I said, for the appeals process. And we're going to see how it all turns out, because it's all about the legalities of it. And as long as the jurors understand exactly how you prove the RICO and a RICO conspiracy, If they have a full understanding of that, I think they should pretty much be able to give an accurate assessment of the case and to determine his guilt or innocence. Now, if they're confused about any of that, then they may not. Another thing is, if they're thinking emotionally, then they likely may not make a good decision. Because I think that in something like this, especially a case of this magnitude, people need to be using and exercising logic and critical thinking skills. You have to remove your feelings. Some people are in their feelings, specifically people in the chats who are getting upset about other people's opinions. People that are in their feelings don't think logically, and they definitely don't use critical thinking skills. Okay, so they're not good decision makers. And just remember that. And those are the people who think that the only opinions that matter are in fact theirs. And guess what? They're absolutely wrong. Okay, so please pay attention. Now, with that all being said, I'm gonna go get back in the line because we're about to be let in about 5 or 6 minutes. Okay, so I'll be back during the break to give you all an update to see what's going on today, what they're talking about, and who are the next witnesses, and how are these people, what kind of associations these people have with Diddy. Okay, so I love you all to life. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Peace.